And that when you ask for questions about purpose and meaning, and your intuition is up and running, you have a deeper side of yourself that you could call the beginnings of mystical consciousness, not in a spiritual, religious sense, but in the sense that mystical consciousness expands your capacity to comprehend the texture of the moment that you're in. You can perceive as well as see. You can sense as well as hear. And you grab data. That is, some of it is from what you're looking at, so very grounded data. But you also rely on inner data that may not in the immediate moment have an external point that allows you to say, see, I know this is true because this is here. Intuition's not like that. Mysticism's not like that. Because your inner world has woken up and is functioning like that, the trying to combine inner experiences with rational parameters can be very, very difficult. If you don't recognize that some of these experiences may well require a different vocabulary, such as, I think I have, my consciousness is expanding to having timeless resources. You could call it that, timeless resources. I'm sensing something that I need to pay attention to. And while you may not in the beginning think of this as like, is this a mystical experience? But it has all the threads of a mystical experience, which means an experience about the texture of what's in your life that is not rational. That is not rational. And it comes from guidance. Now, I'm not talking about hallucinations. I'm not talking about fantasists. I'm not talking about any. That's a whole other category, which I need to acknowledge, and we'll leave it there, because I was going to do the fantasists today, actually, but not yet. These types of experiences where you are asking and pursuing yourself. What am I doing here? What do I need to do? What am I feeling? What's going on? That take you deeper and deeper into yourself. Oftentimes produce inner waves because you're getting to know yourself. You're on the journey of self-knowledge. And that journey of self-knowledge goes directly to the soul, goes directly to your soul. And that's when you start having cravings for living a more authentic life. It's a natural progression. It's a natural progression. It's like, I need to be me, and you can feel the ruptures from inside yourself. So while mystical experiences I'll tell none of you to expect angelic apparitions or anything like that. I will tell you that as you pursue yourself, what are you pursuing? You're pursuing the deeper resources in yourself, self-knowledge. You want to know who you are. You want to know why you are the way you are. And as you pursue that, that world opens up to deeper and deeper perceptions that create an appetite in you to be free of ordinary rational constraints. Like your intuitive skills want to be heard and expressed. You might find yourself craving creativity in a way you never did before, or having ideas about it. Why can't I be artistic? Or why can't I do this? Or you might find yourself becoming incredibly perceptive about wanting authentic conversation with people and authentic exchanges. And why I call this contemporary mysticism is because we move ourselves to the transcendent altitude in our lives. It's like you want to shed the burdenous restrictions of what you have to do and what you're restricted to realizing that at the transcendent altitude, the choice to act on love, the choice to act through the heart, usually resolves things much better than the grit of the rational level. The grit of the rational level. These are in collision. That the mystical response, that idea that you start seeing things from this altitude, that instead of dividing and conquering, what would it look like if we worked all together? If we had a holistic view? Mysticism follows the natural path of the design of life. So on that, I'm going to read this beautiful poem by Hafiz, who I just love. This is translations by Daniel Lindinsky. This is the greatest. But here's a touch, because he was a Sufi mystic. Now is the time that all you do is sacred. Now is the time to know that all you do is sacred. Now why not consider a lasting truce between yourself and God? Now is the time to understand that all your ideas of right and wrong were just a child's training wheels, to be laid aside when you finally live with veracity and love. Hafiz is a divine envoy, whom the Beloved has written a holy message upon. My dear, please tell me, why do you still throw sticks at your heart and God? What is it in that sweet voice inside that incites you to fear? Now is the time for the world to know that every thought and action is sacred. This is the time for you to compute the impossibility that there is anything but grace. Now is the season to know that everything you do is sacred. I adore that. That is the mystic's position. Think about, what if you just, in the midst of the worst moment, said, what if I looked at this as if